Hi, everyone. I'm Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland. I'm the chair of the House Oversight Committee's Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties.
And I'm Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the vice chair of the subcommittee.
We want to spread the word about how to make sure our election is fair and accurate. We want to counteract the effects of the coronavirus pandemic and make sure everyone knows how to vote safely. And we want to refute all of the false and propagandistic attacks on mail-in voting and on the U.S. Postal Service. How can we work together to really protect our vote in 2020 so we make sure that the democracy is strong and secure?
The subcommittee has put together a list of 20 things that we can all do to make sure that we secure our election. We want to make sure that everyone who is eligible can cast a ballot and make sure that your ballot is counted.
We've identified 5 things that each of us can do as individuals, 5 things that our local governments can do, 5 things our state governments can do, and 5 things that employers can do. All of these changes can still be implemented if we act right now to defend our democracy and secure the election.
Now we're going to hand it off to some of our friends to talk about 5 things that you can do to make sure that your ballot is counted this November.
First, the most important action that every voter can take is to check their registration status as soon as possible. Even if you're 100% sure you are registered, check again. Encourage your friends and family to check too. Voters can check their voter registration status right here.
Second, decide as early as possible if you want to vote in person or absentee. If you want to vote absentee and your jurisdiction requires you to request an absentee ballot, request your ballot and return it as early as possible. The sooner you request it and turn it in, the more time you'll have to fix any issues that may arise so you can make sure that your vote counts. But remember, some states like Washington automatically send out ballots to registered voters, so be sure to check with your local election officials about the rules in your jurisdiction and the status of your ballot.
Third, if possible, return your ballot and other voting materials in person. This helps prevent any delays that could keep your vote from being counted. Check your local rules to find out whether you can return your ballot at a drop box or at your local elections office.
Fourth, if you're at low risk for the coronavirus, consider volunteering as a poll worker. Traditionally, poll workers are often senior citizens and retirees, but this year, the coronavirus poses a real threat to them. Polling sites need volunteers to make sure that there are no major delays and that public health guidelines are being followed, and that's where you can help.
Fifth, if you are going to vote in person, plan ahead. Double check your polling location. It may have changed since the last time you voted. Prepare for longer lines, wear a mask, bring hand sanitizer, and practice social distancing. If you can vote early in person, please do. It will give you a chance to fix any unexpected issues, and it will make it easier on your polling place if fewer people are trying to vote on November 3rd.
The key word to remember to make sure that your vote counts in 2020, it's early. Do it early. Find out exactly what your state law is early. Check your registration early. Make sure you're registered. Request your absentee ballot early if that's how you're doing. Do it early. Please do it early. Make a plan. Everybody needs a plan on how to vote.
We all have a role to play in securing a free and fair election. So if you're a small business owner or an employer, you can take action as well. Here are 5 things that you can do to protect our vote in 2020.
First, provide paid leave for employees to vote so that no one is forced to choose between their right to vote and a paycheck.
Second, offer pay leave or civic duty pay for employees who volunteer as poll workers.
Third, support voter education, voter registration drives, and absentee ballot application drives, especially if you're a nonprofit like a charity, school, or church.
Fourth, talk to your local election officials and find out how you can partner with them to recruit additional poll workers, especially if you have a younger workforce who is lower risk. Colleges can also do this with their students.
Fifth, also ask your local election officials about whether you can volunteer your premises to be used as a polling place or the site of a voter registration drive.
But it's not just up to us alone to make sure our votes get counted. In many states, local officials have great flexibility to implement these changes, even without support from the state government. Here are 5 things that you can ask your local election officials to do to protect our vote in 2020.
First, ask your local officials to protect in-person voting by issuing guidance requiring masks, social distancing, and hand sanitizer at all polling locations, as well as using the largest possible venue to allow for more space and prevent the spread of coronavirus.
Second, ask them to set up additional drop-off locations for mail-in ballots, such as early vote locations or other government buildings, so voters can ensure their ballots are delivered safely and on time.
Third, let's recruit some young people and train them to be poll managers, and hopefully they will follow the guidelines and do what is necessary to keep people safe while they're voting.
Fourth, ask them to keep as many polling places open as possible for as long as possible.
Fifth, ask them to send absentee ballot applications to all registered voters before the absentee ballot request deadline.
Local government officials hold enormous power over our elections. If you are a local government official, take these steps right now to maximize voter participation in November. Don't wait to be asked. Right now, there is nothing more important than protecting our vote in 2020.
Don't forget about our state governments. In many states, governors have emergency powers that allow them to make necessary changes to protect the vote during COVID-19. So listen carefully to these 5 things that you should ask your state governments to do, and then call your governor today.
Because the election is so close at hand, most state legislatures are already out of session. But there is still time for governors and secretaries of state to take action to protect our elections. Governors can use their powers of the executive to waive certain requirements under election laws. They can issue executive orders or make other accommodations due to COVID-19.
First, states should expand their early voting options by extending the time of in-person early voting, keeping in-person sites open for more hours per day, and giving voters the option to drop off their mail-in ballots in person.
Second, states should eliminate barriers to mail-in voting by waiving witness requirements, extending the deadline for voters to request an absentee ballot, mailing ballots to all eligible voters, and instituting no-excuse absentee voting.
Third, states must expand online voter registration and make it more accessible by advertising their online registration system on other government websites.
Fourth, states should work to secure maximum voter participation by extending deadlines for voter registration, absentee ballot requests, and absentee ballot returns. States can also allow for same-day registration and commit to counting all provisional ballots.
Fifth, states should make sure their voters are educated about how to vote during the pandemic by doubling efforts to inform citizens about the relevant dates, deadlines, and procedures well in advance of Election Day.
There you have it, 20 ways to protect our vote in 2020.
We hope this helps you as you make your plan to vote and consider reaching out to your government officials and employers to get them on board too.
If you're interested in learning more about any of the actions that we've recommended here today, you can check out our subcommittee's full report here.
Please share with your friends, families, and local election officials. Use the hashtag #OurVote2020.
At this moment of great consequence in our country, we the people in 2020 must take responsibility for our election and for defending the security of our democracy.
So let's get to work and make sure that we have a free and fair election this November.